Welcome back to You Can't Understand Shakespeare, because the fact of the matter is, you can. And this is where I help you do just that, by overcoming the 3 Ps that prevent you from understanding him: performance, poetry, prior knowledge. We are on Act 1, Scene 3 of Hamlet. Let's just hop into it. Enter Laertes, who we know is the son of Polonius, a royal counselor, and Ophelia, his sister. Remember, Laertes has just gotten leave from his father and the king to go back to France. So he says, "My necessaries are embarked, are aboard the ship." So everything that's necessary for me to leave are aboard the ship. "Farewell. And, sister, as the winds give benefit and convey is assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you." Convey is assistant and means of transport available. So while the winds are helping and the transport is possible, do not sleep, but let me hear from you means write immediately. Write every day, right? Give me letters. Don't fall asleep tonight without sending me a letter. And Ophelia asks, "Do you doubt that?" Meaning, do you doubt that I would do so? And the reason why Ophelia's line is starting in sort of an odd spot, why does it start all the way over there, is that because right now we're in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter, really quickly, is the iamb rhythm, a 2-syllable rhythm of unstressed stressed syllables, which is that meter, which is those 2 syllables together, is repeated 5 times, penta. So, but let me hear from you, do you doubt that? So that's why it starts over there, because we're in verse, not in prose. Okay. And then, so Laertes asks to be written to, and then he says, "For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor," referring to his favor on her and how trifling it is. They are kind of having a little bit of a will they, won't they, a little bit of a romance. So for Hamlet and for the trifling of his favor, hold it a fashion. And a fashion is passing, right? The fashion of the day, the fads, things like that. Hold it a fashion and a toy in blood. This is a toy. It's something you can play with for a while, and it's a toy in your blood is where your passion is, where your love is. So hold it a fashion and a toy in blood. A violet in the youth of primy nature. Forward, meaning a passing sexual fancy, a flower of his natural impulses in their prime, early blooming. It's early blooming, that's what it means forward. Forward, not permanent. Sweet, not lasting. The perfume and suppliance of a minute. Suppliance is what supplies diversion for a minute. No more. And so all of that is comparing his passing fancy to a violet that has bloomed early and is very pleasant and pleasing to smell, but it just really gives enjoyment for about a minute. And Ophelia asks, "No more but so?" And Laertes is going to elaborate. He says, "Think it no more. For nature crescent does not grow alone." So nature growing does not grow alone. Does not grow alone in thews, which is muscles, and bulks, but as the temple, which is your body, because your body is a temple, as this temple waxes, the inward service, the responsibility of the mind and soul, grows wide withal. It grows along with it. So saying nature does not grow on its own, the nature of his body. His muscles are not growing, and he's just physically getting bigger. Also, his inward responsibility is growing as well. But you must fear his greatness weighed. His will is not his own. So the thing that she needs to look out for is his greatness weighed, which means that his high rank needs to be considered. After all, he is the son of the former king and the son-in-law of the current king. He's next in line for the throne. So you need to consider that. His will is not his own, meaning he may not, as unvalued persons, as common people, do. Carve for himself, for on his own, carve out choices for himself, carve out space for himself. For on his choice depends the safety and health of this whole state. And Laertes does not know how true those words are. We'll see exactly how Hamlet's choices affect all of Denmark. And therefore must his voice be circumscribed unto the voice, the vote, and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. The king is the head of the body politic. It makes the decisions for the rest of the body to follow, but the king has a responsibility to nourish the body and give the body what it needs, meaning all the people. So it's a classic royal dilemma between being a person but also needing to represent your people. So his will is not his own, and that's maybe why, Ophelia, you shouldn't really give much attention to his romantic endeavors with you. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed. Meaning where he is now, this particular act refers to a singular thing, which is saying that he loves you. It fits your wisdom to believe him. To believe it as may give his saying, deed may act on his promise, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes with all. Then weigh what loss your honor may sustain. So consider how your honor may be lost if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. So think about what a lost honor is going to be if you credit the songs that he sings to you, you give away your heart, or if you open your chaste treasure. So if you think about a treasure chest opening up and within is chastity, then you can understand what his unmastered, his uncontrolled importunity might represent that would enter said chest. So he says, fear it, Ophelia. Fear it, my dear sister. So fear the loss of your honor, fear that you go too far. He's counseling her to act wisely with Hamlet. And keep you in the rear of your affection. Be restrained. Despite the forward march of your feelings, stay at the back of your feelings. And keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. So desire is going to be shooting at you, so stay out of the shot of it. The chariot, which is most careful maid, is prodigal enough if she unmask her beauty to the moon. And so here I have a footnote, which is always good to have a good footnote edition. It says that risk-taking enough. So the most careful maid is prodigal enough. Prodigal meaning spending greatly, just throwing it away, almost wasteful. Think of the prodigal son. He's not prodigal because he returns. He's prodigal because he took all his inheritance and spent all of it. So even the most careful and modest maid is prodigal enough if she unmask her beauty to the moon. The suggestion here is that a maid can never be too cautious. Upper-class women wore masks to screen their complexions from the sun. The moon was classically figured as chaste, while the sun was traditionally associated with passion. So the second that a careful maid is unmasking her beauty, taking her mask off to the moon, then she becomes super prodigal. So in the proper situation, perhaps at night when the moon reigns, even very careful maids become prodigal. So he's kind of worried. He's kind of oddly worried, maybe oddly just talking about it, about his sister's sexuality, but he wants her to be protected. He wants her to be safe. He wants her to be happy. And come to find out later, his concerns are valid because Ophelia ends up none of those things. All right, so virtue itself escapes not calumnious strokes. It escapes, so the virtue. And virtue is the habit of goodness, but it can also be equated with your honor. It can be equated with being thought to be a good person. It can also just be your chastity, your virginity. So virtue itself escapes not. It does not escape calumnious strokes, which are sorrowful strokes. The canker galls the infants of the spring. Right, the canker worm injures the shoots of spring, all the things that are coming up. So as all these flowers and plants are coming up in spring, canker worms bite into them and destroy them. Too oft before their buttons be disclosed, before their buds are opened. And in the morn and liquid dew of youth, contagious blasphements, which are blights, are most imminent. So he's comparing young people to early flowers. In the springtime of our lives, we are like flowers in literal spring, and just how literal flowers can get cankerworms that eat them up and destroy them, so too are there contagious blasphements, blights, that can destroy us, namely the dangers that he has warned her about. So he says, be wary then. Best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else be near. So young people are naturally rebellious even without provocation. So he's just counseling her to be very prudent. So it sounds like an older brother talking to his younger sister. And Ophelia says, I shall the effect of this good lesson keep as watchman to my heart. So what this good lesson, the effects of it, I'm going to keep close to me. It's going to be a watchman in my heart. But good, my brother, do not as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whiles a puffed and reckless libertine himself the primrose path of dalliance treads, and recks not his own reed. So don't be like an ungracious or an ungodly pastor who shows me the steep and thorny way to heaven. It's a difficult path to heaven. It's thorny. It's full of danger. So don't be like those pastors that show me how difficult it is to be virtuous. Whiles a puffed and reckless libertine, a puffed up, a prideful and reckless libertine, someone who gives liberty to all of their desires, himself the primrose path of dalliance down to hell, dalliance in terms of engaging all these things. So she's saying, and recks, which means heeds not his own reed, is his own advice. So he's saying, follow your own advice. Don't give way to all these girls, and protect your chastity, and be very careful yourself, brother. And Laertes says, oh, fear me not, which does not mean be afraid of me, or don't be afraid of me. It means, oh, do not fear for me. So he agrees. At which point enters Polonius, their father. He says, I stay too long, but here my father comes. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave. So favorable circumstances has provided them with a second farewell. So it seems like he's already said goodbye to Polonius. And Polonius asks, yet here, Laertes? Aboard for shame. So you're still here, Laertes? Get aboard the boat. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. You're being waited for, even though the wind is sitting in the sail. There, my blessing with thee. So he gives him his blessing. In these few precepts in thy memory, look thou character. So he's going to give him a couple precepts, a couple words to live by, to help guard his character. The Polonius' family, all very concerned about one another's character, because they're all pretty good people, at least at the start of the play. Give thy thoughts no tongue, so don't speak your thoughts, nor any proportioned thought his act. An unproportioned thought is an unruly thought his act, so don't act on these thoughts either. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar, which means be friendly, but do not be indiscriminately social. All right, so you should be great. That's good advice. Those friends thou hast and their adoption tried, so those friends of yours who have proven true and reliable, grapple them unto thy soul with hoops of steel. Grapple means to wrestle, and so wrestle them unto your soul with hoops of steel, and then bind them to yourself, those friends that are tried and true. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment. That would be do not dull thy palm with entertainment is with a greeting, a handshake. With entertainment would be that's it. Of each new hatched, unfledged courage, beware. That unfledged courage is comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear it that the opposed may beware of thee. So be careful not to enter into quarrels, into fights. But if you do, manage so that the person that you're fighting, the opposed, may beware of thee, may be afraid of you. I remember in teaching school, we were often said, don't get into a power struggle. But if you do, win. So good advice. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. So listen everyone, but speak a little bit. Take each man's censure, which is opinion, but reserve thy judgment. So listen to everyone's opinion, but be slow to judge. Costly thy habit, which is dress, as thy purse can buy. So, but not expressed in fancy. So make sure that you are dressed well, as much as your purse, the thing that holds your money, can buy. But do not express this richness in fancy and showiness. It's rich but not gaudy. For the apparel, the clothing, oft proclaims the man. The clothes make the man. We still kind of say that. And they in France, of the best rank and station, are of a most select and generous chief in that. They're the most adept in France at showing rank and status with their clothing. And so it's important for Laertes to make sure that he's dressed well so that he can get into the right circles. Neither a borrower nor a lender be of money, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulleth the edge of husbandry, which is economy. So don't borrow money, don't lend money. You can lose friends this way, and it ruins the economy. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. So as surely as night follows day, if you're true to yourself, then you cannot be false. You cannot be untrue to any other man. Farewell, my blessing season this in thee. So season should be mature this in thee. My blessing is like seasoning that you put upon his character, these types of things. I've heard it once from a really good podcast. Definitely go check out the Chop Bard. That this advice is all very unexpected, very banal, very redundant type advice. Oftentimes very quoted, right? Above all, to thine own self be true. I myself have a best man glass that says, those friends thou hast and their adoption tried, grapple them unto thy soul with hoops of steel. Very nice stuff. But Polonius is actually a little bit of a fool character. Tragedies often have fools, and they're usually the better fools. Hot take. I don't think that is a hot take, actually. But so Polonius, despite being this wise counselor, oftentimes kind of muddles his way around and is pretty laughable, and is going to be the subject of a lot of Hamlet's mockery. So this advice that he gives, we may think like, this is a good father giving out his advice. But it's supposed to be a little bit redundant and not very much the most helpful. Although, by my estimation, it's not bad advice. Laertes would do well to follow it. So, Laertes says, most humbly do I take my leave, my lord. Polonius says, the time invests you, which presses you. Go, your servants tend, they wait for you. Farewell, Ophelia, and remember well what I have said to you. Like his father, he has given her advice on her character. And then it says, 'tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it. If that advice is locked in my mind, your key cannot be taken from me. Farewell, and he exits. What is it, Ophelia, he hath said to you? So naturally, Polonius, who's a very curious and prying person, is going to ask, what did your brother tell you? So please you, something touching the Lord Hamlet. Mary, which means by the Virgin Mary, it's a mild oath. Mary, well bethought. It's well to think of this. 'Tis told me he hath very oft of late given private time to you. So he's been spending a lot of one-on-one time with you. And you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. Your audience is who you are giving your attention to, who you let be an audience to you. So you have been very free and bounteous, meaning having a big bounty, bountiful. So you've been giving him a lot of your attention as well. If it be so, as so 'tis put on me, as it has been suggested to me, and that in way of caution, so it's been told to him as a caution, I must tell you, you do not understand yourself so clearly as it behooves my daughter and your honor. So you don't understand yourself as well as it behooves you, meaning as well as it benefits you, you as my daughter and my honor. What is between you? Give me the truth. So he says you don't understand yourself, possibly referring to how young she is and saying, I'm a little nervous about this little flirtation you guys have going on. And Ophelia, obedient daughter, will say, he hath my lord of late made many tenders of his affection to me, many offers of his affection to me. So Hamlet has been flirting with her, wooing her. Polonius, affection, pooh! You speak like a green girl, unsifted in such perilous circumstances. A green girl is a girl that is fresh and new, very young. The best example I can really think of is usually bananas. When bananas are green, they are too ripe, they are too young. They lose that greenness as they get older. Or think of leaves. In spring and summer, they are green, but as they get older, they turn to orange and brown and yellow. So that lets you know that they've lost their greenness as they have aged. So if you're a green girl, you're young. You are a green girl unsifted, which means inexperienced in such perilous circumstances. So he clearly thinks that this wooing is perilous for some reason, much like Laertes. Do you believe his tenders, as you call them? His offers of payment and compensation for something. So when Ophelia says tenders, she means offers. But Polonius is referring to tenders as an offer. Oh, I'll pay you money, and then I'll compensate you for something. So that could be suggesting a little bit of prostitution. Is that what Hamlet's doing? Probably not. I do not know, my lord, what I should think. Very, very wise. He says, Mary, I will teach you. Think yourself a baby, that you have taken these tenders for true pay, which are not sterling. So you've taken these tenders, these offers of affection, as true pay. And they are not sterling. They are not genuine currency. Tender yourself more dearly means value or protect yourself more dearly, or, not to crack the wind of the poor phrase, wronging it thus, you'll tender me a fool. So cracking the wind of the poor phrase is, there's a poor phrase, there's a proverb, and that proverb is, you'll tender me a fool, which means to ruin the phrase with overworking. So, like, let me not be cliche. It's beating a dead horse, so to speak. And I'll wrong the phrase by doing this. But you'll tender me a fool, which means you'll make me look foolish. You'll seem yourself a fool. And you'll show me a baby, which is idiomatically a fool. My lord, he hath importuned me with love in honorable fashion. So in honorable fashion is Hamlet has been nothing but honorable to me with his shows of love. I, fashion, which is conventional flattery, you may call it. Go to, which means that's enough, come. And has given countenance to his speech, which is authority, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven, which all the holy vows of heaven are marriage vows. So he has given authority to his speech, his words of love, with almost all the holy vows of heaven, meaning he's almost all but proposed marriage. And Polonius says, I, springs to catch woodcocks, which means are traps for proverbially gullible birds. So you ever see a woodcock, it is believed to be a very gullible bird. And so these vows of heaven, these marriage talks, are just traps that people, it's just a trap for gullible young girls. I do know when the blood burns, which means when you're feeling attraction and passion and emotion, how prodigal, that is lavish, the soul lends the tongue vows. When you're full of emotion, your tongue will just give your soul, the soul gives your tongue lots of vows. That's why lovers who are madly in love are always vowing themselves to things. These blazes, daughter, giving more light than heat, extinct in both, even in their promise as it is a making, you must not take for fire. So these blazes, which is the burning blood of the soul, give off more light than heat. So they're very bright, but they do not really endure. They're not warm you. They are not enduring. So do not mistake them for fire. From this time, be something scanter of your maiden presence. So if you're something scanter, you're showing up scant, meaning not as often. Set your entreatments at a higher rate than a command to parley, which means do not negotiate a surrender of your chastity just because he asks to speak with you. Your entreatment should be someone's desire to speak with you. So make it cost more, maybe not literally, but metaphorically, to speak with you, and so lose your chastity. For Lord Hamlet, believe so much in him that he is young, and with a larger tether may he walk than may be given you. A tether is like a leash, or if you think of tetherball, it's a ball that's attached by a rope. So he's a larger tether. He has more freedom and more liberty than you do, perhaps because he is higher rank, perhaps because he's a man, whatever it may be. And even still, we have this where if a guy is with a lot of girls, you might say, oh, he's such a player. But if it's vice versa, and a girl's with a lot of different guys, then we tend to call her various names that do not think too kindly on her. So we have this double standard. In few, meaning in few words, which Polonius never has, Ophelia, do not believe his vows, for they are brokers, which means go-betweens, like a stockbroker, not of that dye which their investments show, so not but mere implorators of unholy suits. So there's a bit of a pun. The investments are the holy garb that priests wear. So he's not a broker of that dye which their investments show, which means he's showing holy vows. So it's not suggesting going to marriage as made by the investments of priestly garb, but rather they are mere implorators, someone who asks and sells of unholy suits. So there, that suit double word as something that you would wear, like the vestments, or rather the suit being a cause, occasion, petition, these types of things. Breathing like sanctified and pious bonds, the better to beguile. So he is breathing like sanctified and pious promises, the better to beguile. If you were breathing them, breathing can oftentimes refer to your voice, to what you're saying, to what's coming out of your mouth. So he's speaking things that sound holy and good, marriage vows, but he's only doing it to all the better, all the more to beguile you, to trick you. He wants your chastity. This is for all. I would not, in plain terms, from this time forth, have you so slander, disgrace, any moment leisure, as to give words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. So this is the classic, like, you can't see that boy anymore. He thinks Hamlet's bad news. He says, come your ways, which means come along. And Ophelia, obedient daughter, says, I shall obey my lord. And they exit. Now, this is an important scene because, one, we get to know a lot more about Polonius. Laertes, who's going to show up later in the play, is an important character, but especially Ophelia. Ophelia is going to be much abused throughout this play, unfortunately. Her connection with Hamlet is going to be super tied up in his own revenge scheme. And oftentimes you might have to ask yourself, why is Ophelia acting the way she is? Well, part of it is she is classically a very virtuous, obedient woman. She is she's a spectacular character, but she's been given all this advice from men that she trusts. And so in listening to this advice, does that lead to what happens to her? Well, we should certainly keep in mind that she has this in her head as she's interacting with Hamlet throughout the rest of the play. But to get to the rest of the play, you will have to join us again next time. Thanks for listening.